everyone! Today we're going to be doing some activities for an alternative lesson for our reading literature subject that we have been going over. So our lesson is based on the Common Core Anchor Standard of determining central ideas or themes of a text and analyzing their development and summarizing the key supporting details and ideas. And this just gives a more detailed part of the standard that specifically goes with what grade 3 does. The skills we'll be gaining from this lesson is to paraphrase or summarize text, either orally or in writing, to look at the difference between key and minor details from events, from the beginning, middle, and end of the text, and to identify the elements of a story, like character, setting, problems, and solutions. So the lesson objectives for today are to practice summarizing the text in a creative and visual way, to place events from text in sequential order using a chart, that means from beginning, middle, to end, and to analyze important elements from the text by creating your own visual representations. So we're going to be creating our own visual representations, which means drawing some parts of the story. So this is where you can really use your creativity to make whatever you think best looks like parts of the text. So for the different activities we'll be doing, you have a choice of either working on your own or selecting a group of about 2 or 3 people to work on the activities with. So it's totally up to you, and all the activities are on your own pace, so you don't need to feel rushed through it or anything. You can take as much time as you need to. So first, before we begin, there's this video that you can watch from BrainPop, and it gives you a better sense of some reading skills that you can use, and they'll really be helpful while you read. So BrainPop's just a fun little website that has a lot of really helpful videos. It might take a while to come up. You don't need to log in. And here's BrainPop with a video specifically about reading skills. You just click to watch the video, and it's really short, just probably a few minutes, so it won't take long to watch.
I think I just read the same sentence 10 times in a row.
That's Tim and Moby. They're fun guys that'll give you some helpful hints. And then if you like, after you watch the video, you can take this quiz that kind of just goes over what the video talked about, and it's a good way to see what you know or what you learned about reading skills from the video. And you can choose either a classic quiz or a review quiz. And the review quiz is fun because you can choose an answer and you have to get it right before you move on. So that answer was correct, so you can move on to the next one. But this one, the answer wasn't right, so you have to keep guessing until you get the right answer. So that's just a fun and helpful way to keep testing you on the reading skills. So after you do that, then you can move on and look at what we're actually going to be reading. So the first story we'll be reading is from the book Greek Myths. It's called Pandora, and it's on page 33, and that's what the book looks like. And then the second story is from the book The King with Horse's Ears, and it's called A Strange Night on page 72. So feel free to take as much time as you need to work and read both of these texts. If you work in groups, you guys can take turns reading out loud. That'll help you better, or you can work by yourself if that's what you prefer. After reading, the first activity we'll be doing is drawing pictures or a scene from what you remember of each story. So first, for the Pandora story, go ahead and draw a scene that you remember from the story. It could be any part of the text, something you found really interesting or fun, or something you think would be cool to draw to help you get a better understanding. So you can use the tools on the smartboard, like the marker, the crayon, the stickers, all that fun stuff, and use up this whole blank space if you need to just draw however you think that specific scene from the story looks. After that, you're going to go ahead and look at all these different events that are written down at the bottom. They're all out of order, and what you need to do is figure out if they go in the beginning, middle, or end, and you can use the smartboard to drag and drop wherever they go. So there's 8 total events. There's going to be about 2 or 3 in each box, so that helps. So you can take your time to read through each one and figure out when it happened in the story, if it was by the beginning, or if it was in the middle of the story, or at the very end. Then we're going to be doing the same thing we did for the Pandora story, but now you're going to be drawing a scene from A Strange Night of what you remember. So again, feel free to choose a part of the story that you really liked, something you want to draw. Use the smartboard tools and just take up this whole space right up here to draw whatever you think was a good part of the story and something that you would really want to look further into or see a drawing of it to help you better understand it. And then you'll be doing the same thing we did before. There's events down here that happened in a strange night. This time there's 6 of them, so there's 2 for each box, and you're going to drag and drop them wherever they go, whether they were the beginning, middle, or end of the story. And then you're going to be comparing the 2 different stories based on their elements. So using the smartboard markers, go ahead and write in each of these spaces the characters from the story, what the setting was, so where the story happened, if there were any main problems in the story or issues, and if there were any solutions to those problems. So how did those issues get fixed, or how did they not get fixed? You can write about that as well. What happened in the story specifically. And if there was a final lesson at the end or message that the story was trying to convey. So go ahead and do that for both Pandora and A Strange Night. You guys can work together if you're in groups to figure out what you need to write, or again, you can work by yourself. And lastly, we're going to be using this tools again to draw another picture. Draw the final scene, so the very end of Pandora, based on what you thought it looked like. So use however many tools you want to use, however many colors or pictures, and just draw what you think the very end of the story Pandora looked like. And then you'll be doing the same exact thing. Oops, sorry about that. You'll be doing the same exact thing for A Strange Night. So the very final part of the story, what you think it looked like, just go ahead and draw in this huge space. Use however many tools you like. Take as much time. Make it really detailed. Use as much creativity as you can. And then go ahead and reflect upon these activities with your group, or just think to yourself if you work alone, about whether or not you liked the activities, if they helped you get a better understanding, and if you enjoyed them. So I hope that they did help you better understand the reading, and I hope the video helped as well, because those skills are really important. You can definitely use them anytime you read other texts. And I hope that the skills you gained from today you'll be able to continue to use in the future with the more text that we'll be reading in class. If you ever have any questions, please feel free to ask me or another teacher. And again, remember, you can work on this thing completely on your own pace. Don't feel the need to rush through the activities. This is totally something catered to you, and I want you to use as much creativity as possible and think back to the stories and really take the time to summarize the different parts of the text. So I hope you enjoy it, and again, feel free to ask me any questions.